Fewer and fewer jobs today require employees to be physically present in their office. Toffler predicted this and the rise of home offices, writing that homes would be one day resemble electronic cottages that would allow people greater work-life balance and richer family life. So this is home office, has been predicted by him. The fourth one is businesses without formal structure. If people work in the office, the structure will be different from what you are working in the office. Toffler popularized the phrase of adhocracy. Adhocracy, a reference to a company that operates without a formal hierarchy. Adhocracy, as defined by Toffler, is flexible and often horizontally structured. It allows for creativity and adaptability, since the employees are pigeonholed in certain roles. So this prediction will become a reality when there are changes in the culture of work. From the COVID-19 experience, we could see some of the futurists of Toffler's prediction. So accelerating sustainable development goal through ICT. So right now, from what I've given 17 goals of the nation does not focus on the sustainable development through ICT, because we are talking in African countries when there's no internet, no electricity, so no proper water supply. So this thing is very far to be observed in some remote African countries. But Malaysia used to be like that before. 50 years ago, you come to Kuala Lumpur, it's not the same like what Brother Dr. Ahmad Yusof was in Kuala Lumpur. Last few years, it was different. So these are some of the technological aspects of the COVID-19. So 50 years of bold prediction about remote work, it isn't all about technology. So this is working from home. When everybody start working from home, if not all, you could see that there is no traffic jam in the city. There's more people work at home. From here, you can see that currently at 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock up to 8 o'clock, people are rushing to go to work. You see the situation here, such as a big city like Jakarta, the people doesn't move easily. You go to Jakarta, you go to Bangkok, or any countries, they are very congested, even in India. And this thing will become like this when the new culture of work started to work, inshallah. So the future shock is how technology is changing. The way that we do business will be different. He's in the field, but he bring the computer. And children in the schools or the universities, everybody using the laptop. See? The importance of the technology in the classroom. So learning for tomorrow, the role of future education, Evan Toffler. So future studies on SDG, realignment strategies. So we look at the education sector. The university now, they don't look so much, they don't spend so much on electronic and ICT technology, because they feel that this is not that very important, because that would be enough for the consumption within the university campus. But in the future, it will not be sufficient. The university have to link with their students from all over the world. People from Bosnia would like to do a degree in IUM. People from some African countries would like to share their knowledge or the views on certain thing with students and lecturers here. So e-learning education is important, a focus area for the university administrators to think of. Research and development is another thing that the government have to focus on, or the university has to focus on. E-library and e-books. We don't need a very big library. If the books are all being on digital. I used to visit the Nottingham University. The university was in Kuala Lumpur, which is so small. I looked at the library. They said, "Oh, all our books are e-books." The student will come and they don't look for the hard copy. We keep 1 or 2 copies just for and they can view the book through the e-book. So this is what was happening. So physical development, such as campus development, expenditure can be reduced. So we don't need big administrative building for the faculty, whatever it is, and hostel facilities. You must equip 1 room per person and so on. If there are 20,000 students on campus, you need to provide 20,000 rooms for the student. You got to upgrade the e-learning technology instead. Reduce the lecturers' workload, face-to-face teaching, instead of spending more time on developing teaching module. Instead of that, the lecturers can spend more time on the teaching module. Instead of preparing notes, they will prepare teaching modules online. So they don't need an expert to teach to do that. Every lecturer will have to do on their own. So this requires some training. So thank you, Professor Pazan. I will come back after this with any other thing that required. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jamal. You have any question? I will open for 1 to 3 minutes for question answers before I pass to Kamar Azizi. Any questions? No questions?
Yes, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Assalam.
Listening to me from Bangladesh.
Yeah, Faisal Khan. Faisal Khan, go ahead.
Yes, Faisal, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine. What about you, Prof?
You are in Dhaka?
Yes, I am now in Dhaka. I was in Malaysia until 17th March and I submitted.
Oh, so close.
Bye-bye and then come back.
Now, within a few seconds, I can reach you.
I had a question about that.
Right.
When this COVID issue is coming, now many universities are offering like online-based courses. So many technology are being used rigorously right now. So what do you think the future of education if more technology is being used in the education system? Will it be better for the education system or it has some other consequences?
Yeah, Dato'.
You mean the teaching technology using the e-learning will be better than face-to-face? Is that right? Hello.
Faisal, can you repeat your question again?
I was asking, the question is, as this COVID issue is coming, so now many universities are offering courses through online, and at the same time they are taking examinations and other things through online, and even I see that some of the PhD Viva is also going on through online.
Yes, what is your question?
I see that future of education is going to be more online based. So what will be then the future of the education based on this physical learning, coming closer to the guru and so on? Man, what do you perceive about the future of education system?
And your question is future of education.
Yes. If more technology is being used, is it good for us or it is bad for us?
Okay.
Yeah, it is not easy, Brother Faisal, to change to a new culture. This is what Urban Toffler has been mentioning. There will be a future cultural shock, even for the universities, because they never prepared to have this kind of online education. In the year 2000, I think myself with Dr. Fauzan, we've been working on the e-learning program at that time. But of course, Dr. Abdul Hamid Abdul Sulaiman was very supportive. But the technology was not up to date. Should the technology be up to date, Abdul Hamid Abdul Sulaiman, we open up the e-education. Although he's at the traditional band, but I think he believed in changes. So I think it will happen. You don't have to worry, not during your time, not during my time. You have already passed your PhD, and then maybe your children later on or your grandchildren will have this kind of technology, inshallah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jamil. Any more questions before I will pass to Prof. Kamar Azizi? Then we can come back. Okay, no more question. I guess Prof. Kamar Azizi, Kamaro, you are ready? Prof. Kamaro, are you ready? Kamar Azizi, yeah, your speaker is off. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala syafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we'll be able to meet today. I'd like to share with my slide. Hopefully I can get it on. Slide
Yeah, it's already there.
Okay.
You have to show the, yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to talk on the Sustainable Development Goal by itself. So first I'd like to thank IIIT for inviting me to give this during this intellectual course. And good to know also Dr. Jamil is here, Professor Jamil. Long time no see. You look old. Yeah, sometimes happen that way. So thank you, Professor Fauzan. As we know, fasting is something that really reminds us of this world. We are on the world because different countries have different fasting hours. That indicate that we are on something, on a sphere, and which is changing with time. So what we have is all this while our iftar, we are sharing it together, or even in either in the mosque or outside. And for our tarawih, we pray together, and again inside or outside. And now the new image, the new normal of Ramadan that we're going to see is that either we are praying alone, or we're going to pray as a family, or even for iftar, we might be eating with our family, or reading the Quran also, we might also reading the family. So how does Ramadan relate to SDG? Because this is what our talk is all about, our discussion today. So to me, two basic things that I'm going to ask all of us to go back. First is to look back at the past. And number two, making poor people as the main agenda. Prof. Jamil has indicated to us that it is important that we develop ourselves so that we'll be successful and use the IT to improve our life and so forth. But I'm going back to the poor people because I believe that even though we have all the knowledge, but then we need to do something about the poor people who doesn't have support, not only from us, but from many other people who ignore them. So let's open to Sustainable Development Goal. And I'm lucky to be representing the government of Malaysia during the development of this SDG. It took us 3 years to prepare it, and about 3,000 experts together to form this SDG. So it is not something that is simple. It is a very complex. And the agreement that we have made, initially we have thousands of proposals, and eventually we reached to 7. I think I've just put it up here, in Surah Al-Baqarah, it tells us a story of a man who passed by a township which is already in a ruin. And then what happened is that he wondered whether what happened to, can this ruin change back again? So Allah shows him that it can be done. But the interesting part that I want to tell all of us, especially to the students, that Allah didn't mention how this ruin has been improved other than talking about the donkey. Okay? So, the development, the idea of progress, it is the idea of progress. We're talking about progress. This is a socio-economic changes. We start from individual, and a baby starting from before it can walk, and finally it can walk. And then a family, and a kampong, a village, a township, city, a state, country, region, regional and global. So it is a different phase, and it is quite complex in that sense. So the thing is, this has happened for thousands of years. Okay, it has happened thousands of years. But what we observe is that, and we have used GDP as our indicator. GDP, as those who are in the economic sector aware that it is, we are talking more of money. Yeah, we're talking more of money rather than of anything. So is this a good representation of development? But people, the government prefer to use this because it's easy to talk about. But unfortunately, it is not. Because when we look at it, at the development itself, not only involve money, but it involves social changes, it involves people, it involves housing, it involves resources. There's a lot of things that is not seen on the GDP. GDP is just talking about money. So this is the problem that we are facing right now. So unfortunately, we are sitting on one world. This is our world. Whatever happens, even though I put up just now, fasting, we can see that we are on one single world by looking at the fasting time, the period of fasting. So what happened is that we observe that the planetary system itself is affected by our development, the development that we want, basically what the human wants, which is what's happening right now. So if you look at Rostrum, make a study on this planet boundaries. Our planet, how can it sustain itself? Where is there a number? And by the way, Rostrum is a researcher from Sweden. He made a study and he put up, there are 9 planetary boundaries, and he mentioned them. Those are the values, and I'm not going to go through them because it's quite detailed. It is a long paper. It is written in Nature. So if you look up Rostrum 1990 in Nature, you find that this paper, and this is a very famous paper. So I'm not going to go through. But basically, what I want you to concentrate on is that the world cannot sustain everything. This is the limitation of the world. So what happened? Better presentation of the economic growth rather than using GDP, we have to change into something else. So this is where we have to balance between the human needs, the planetary dynamics, and the planetary resources. Once we can balance this, then we have something which we call later, as you are aware, like what Professor Jamil have mentioned, SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. That's why we go for it. There's no other reason, because we want to make sure that we can live on this planet in the future, and also for our children. So now, it's better to put it some sort like this. This is a very unique, what we call, in the economic sector, we call it the donut economy, where we put the limit of the planet, and we call it ecological ceiling, and we put the human needs as the social foundation. The social foundation is what we want, and the ecological limit is the limit whereby the planet will be able to sustain on what we need. So the thing is, in between, that green area in between is where we're supposed to work. If we go beyond it, we are going beyond what the planetary allow us to go. And if we go below it, we don't cover the needs of the human. So this is the thinking that we need to have right now. So let me explain to you the special, what we call as the donut economy, before I explain SDG, because everything at the end come to SDG. So the resource limitation, environmental shielding, and the social foundation are the key parameter, especially for the students to take care of whenever you want to talk about SDG. So here we have here, I've drawn it now simply. We have a critical natural threshold. We have a critical human deprivation in the sense that that's what we want. And in between is the space where we should work. Okay? So it is, what we are doing is just the balancing, like I've said just now. So now, we draw it properly. There are 9, according to Rostrom, there are 9 different limits that we have to be aware of for the Earth. They made a very good studies, and as I've said, it is published in Nature, so it is one of the world #1 publisher in the world, so it's been accepted by everybody. So, and there is the operating space there for humanity. So this operating space is where we're going to develop ourselves, and if we do it properly, then we will sustain ourselves. So let me go next then. So in reality, the economy, when we talk about economic growth, we observe that everybody is going all out. Nobody cares about other people, especially the poor are left behind, and the rich are getting richer, and they are eating up everybody. They don't care about the environmental shielding. They don't care about the needs of other people. They only care about themselves. So this is what's happening, and this is very dangerous because if we allow this to go on, then our world cannot sustain. The thing is, what happens if we allow this? We will see desert. We're going to see fish being killed. We can see ozone layer, and we can see temperature changes, very high temperature change. Again, it's a long story. I'm not going to go through it. If you want, I can give a complete lecture on how it works for SDG. Okay? So now, what we want is an inclusive, sustainable economic growth. That means we want our growth to go in between the green area that I've shown here. It doesn't matter if you are high-income countries like America, Europe, Japan, Korea, you still should have an economic growth of in between there. The same with low-income countries. You should also have that. The same with the emerging economies. You also should grow yourself, the country, just like indicated here. So there is a limit, like I said. Okay? We have to control ourselves. It's like the 2 pictures there. They give an indication of where we should be. There's that boundaries that we have to work in when we are talking about growth. So the effect of development on ecological ceiling and social foundation. This is what we observe. This has been studied by, again, the same group of people, Rostrom from Sweden, and they observed that this is where I'm talking about this in 1990. So it's a long time ago. Now it's 2020. So it must be worse than this. So according to them, because there's a lot of people who are working on this, and among them is us, climate change, we see there's a climate change problem. There's nitrogen and phosphorus loading happening, and there is land conversion, and there are also biodiversity loss. And this is where Malaysia was quite excited about it. We are having a good biodiversity, and I think one of the things that we need to defend is that we have so much flora and flora to say that we are not the one doing this, but somebody else. So now, who are being doing all this? Let's say we are talking about the poor. If we want to solve the poor's problem, observe that we don't need much. What we need is just about 2% of 3% of the global food supply. And in terms of CO2 for electricity, we just need 1%. So where does the pressure come about? We see that there is a pressure on climate, there is a pressure on loading, phosphorus, nitrogen loading, land conversion, and biodiversity. This is where all the rich are the main culprit. Make use of this. Just imagine, just to big production for 11% of the people, 50% of them are coming from the CO2 emission. The same with electricity. We observe, just to produce the meat for the people in Europe, they are taking up a lot of the CO2. So these are the problem. And we, in the third world country, unfortunately, didn't do this research. And we just allow them to gaining on what we have. Rather, we are proud of them rather than not, which I think we should change now, from now on. So now, what is sustainable development? Sorry, it's just the preamble. So this is a long story. But don't worry, I'll make it simple because I believe in simplicity so that everybody can understand it fully and appreciate what we mean by sustainable development.
Can we have 5 minutes more from Kamaru?
Okay, don't worry. So the definition that we use is the Brundtland definition. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet the needs. Okay, so what we want is a sustainability model, a challenge to the conventional form of development, where we reconcile ecological, social, and economic dimension of development, and we acknowledge there is a biophysical limit to growth, and then we look at the agenda of social justice within and across the current future generation. So this is by balancing all these three, hopefully we will achieve this development. So in the nutshell, what Prof. Jamil has put up is the 17 sustainable goal, okay, that we need to move forward. Okay, so now this is a development of different. Okay, we recognize that to end poverty and other deprivation must go in hand with strategies. The future that we want, because the future will be available for everyone. No one will be left behind. This is all the key words that we use. World free of poverty, hunger, disease, and want, where all life can be thrived. SDG was adopted, just like Prof. Jamil had mentioned, in September 2015. And our previous Prime Minister was there to sign the document, but I don't know whether he read it or not, because I was not invited to be with him. So I don't know who briefed him, but he signed the document. Okay, so now we have 17 sustainable development, as Prof. Jamil has mentioned. But there are two other things that you need to aware of, especially students. There are 169 associated targets. There are 231 unique indicators. If we talk about sustainable development, don't talk about 17 only. Talk about the 169 associated targets and 231 unique indicators. Then only you fulfill the 17 sustainable development. So let's look at how we can implement it. This is how we can implement it, one by one. We go step by step, and then only we can achieve it. So there is a book on this if you want to read. But frankly, just to tell you, I've read it, and I think it's good, but not good enough. I think we need to write a book specifically for this. I think IIT should consider doing it because nobody is doing it properly right now. Okay, so let's go see. SDG player, who are they? Is it only the government? No, it doesn't work that way. We need the government, we need the business people, we need the professionals, we need the civil societies, we need the academicians, we need the researchers, we need the students, and we need everybody, particularly, because SDG affect everybody and will cause and will be affected for everybody. So everybody must work on it. Okay? So, but the thing is, don't worry, we have a common tools. The tool is there. If you go to any United Nations website, they will give you the 17 Sustainable Development Goal with the 169 associated targets and 231. I just put it on a graph so that you can see it. Why is it there is a color on the graph? Because we still don't have information with regard to many of these parameters, the targets and also the indicators. There's a lot of work to do. Let's work together and try to solve this SDG for our country, for our nation, for our region, and for this globe, so that we will be able to stay in this world much, much longer. Thank you.
Thank you. Jazakumullah khair, Prof. Kamar Azizi. Now I open questions. You can just unmute your speaker. You can ask Kamar Azizi. Tafadhal. We have 25 participants plus their Facebook Live through WAP TV and EDA, and even Datuk Sriano Ibrahim's Facebook. It's online. I think we have like 40 participants. Okay. You can ask Dato' Jamil or even Prof. Kamar Azizi, Prof. Kamar Azizi or Dato' Jamil. Very quiet today. Or everybody's ready for Ramadan.
Prof. Ozan, can I?
Yo, sure, Sharan.
Prof. Kamarul, how do you put family unit as in the overall picture of the SDG? Because our scholars are saying that everything starts from the family. So the whole concept of SDG does not talk at all about the family unit. So if the family break down, then there's no SDG. So how you put it that in perspective?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sharan. If you look at this is an example of how we use SDG. But here we are just concentrating on, can you see this diagram?
No.
You can show, yeah. Please share it.
Okay, I think I have to share it.
Yeah, you have to share it.
Okay, if you look at this diagram, this is how we use the SDG, because the SDG has been misused quite by many people. As I said, you need to also include the targets and the indicators. So, like for example, this city, what they did was they do a mapping of the SDG. It's interesting when you say the family doesn't do not need to do anything. But if you look at here, you have to do a mapping for the family. Unfortunately, initially I have it, but I put it somewhere else. So for the family, if you look, for example, number one, the biggest issue that I've mentioned just now is hunger. Anyway, we're going to fast soon. So what is the family's job? So what you need to do is look at the targets for number one, look at the indicators for number one. In there, it specifically mentioned what you need to do for hunger. And it will identify for you whether can you achieve those targets, can you provide the indicators. The same way with all the others. So this mapping, I'm now going almost everywhere trying to do this mapping for various countries, except for Malaysia. Because Malaysians usually don't ask for the expert. So I'm helping them to get all this to identify clearly so that they can work on it. It is not that simple. So like I said, you have to look as a family. The other question that you, is it okay, Prof. Sharan?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the other question that I usually receive, especially when I go to Muslim countries, is this Islamically correct or not? Can you attach it with Maqasid Sharia? So I said, one thing, if you look at it, the SDG doesn't have God in it. There's no Allah in it. There's no Allah in it. But what it has is that it tells you what are the human needs according to the human. So according to the humans. So remember, it is very important for us. At the time of the Prophet, before Hijrah, the only things that differentiate between the Muslim and the kafir, the mushrik, the non-Muslim, is their view with regard to humanity. The Muslim believe strongly on humanity, just like the famous hadith when Rasulullah was sitting down, suddenly he stand up, and the Sahaba said, "Why did you stand?" Because at that time, somebody is carrying a coffin, and they said that the coffin is of a Yahudi, a non-Muslim. Why do you stand? So Rasulullah said, why shouldn't I stand? He is a, or she is a Muslim. She is a human. So I should respect as a human. So if you look at, if we have the chance, look at how Islam is being portrayed before, during the Makkah period, and after the Makkah period, in Madinah. In Madinah, That's where the prayer has been wajib, the fasting, which we are going to take up soon, is being wajib, the Hajj is being wajib, and everything has become wajib. But we forgot. We tend to leave behind what has happened during the Makkah period. Even though the main issue, like most of our ulama has been saying, our teachers, that we concentrate on akidah. But akidah include also akhlaq. And akhlaq include the human stand on many issues. Just, sorry lah, tertambah sikit.
Thank you, Jazakumullah khair, Prof. Kamara. Any more questions?
Yes, Professor Frozen is
Yeah, Shaya, yes, Dr. Shaya, tafadhal.
Yes, regarding this Sustainable Development Goal, it's been defined by United Nations UNDP, is focusing on the, as what Professor said just now, eradication of poverty. They call it, another one is to allow the citizens to have prosperity and peaceful, as well as to look at this protection of planet. Yeah, it's a four main element. But I was just wondering, I would like to ask Professor views, what do you think the ultimate objective of Maqasid al-Sharia is comprising all this aspect? For example, Maqasid al-Sharia is to protect religion. Secondly, is protects human life. Thirdly, is to protect human intellectual. And fourthly, is to protect human degeneration. And fifthly, is to protect resources. So all this element itself is the ultimate objective. It's more precise. I can say, what do you think of this? Because many, when we talk of Maqasid al-Sharia, just not able to devise or what we call it, devise tactical strategy to achieve toward this. It's very general. I can see UNDP as well. It's too general. It's too very big. Why not we focus to Maqasid al-Sharia as a Muslim country? We have 2 million people. Just asking you a question.
Okay,
Yes,
this for Kamara Azizi maybe, and then maybe Datuk Jamil can add after Prof. Kamara Azizi. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Actually, you asked a very pertinent question. When we were preparing the document,
yes,
many of our Muslim countries trying to put also the Maqasid Sharia. But unfortunately, at that time, when we tried to explain to other countries, they cannot appreciate the meaning of Maqasid Sharia. Because as you are aware, I put up the slide here that I'd like to share with you. Under Maqasid Sharia, basically there are 3 different areas. The Daruriyah, which is the necessities. That is what they call as the different religion, life and that. And number 2 is the Hajiyat, the needs. For the SDG, actually is just the needs. That is the number 2, the Hajiyat. It doesn't include the necessities. So, and it also doesn't include the Tahsiniyat. So the luxuries. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, I'm reading that. Yes, I see that.
Because of that, we have a tough time trying to defend that. Why not we include Maqasid Sharia? And because the needs, they identified the 16. Even initially, there are a lot more than that. But eventually, we agreed that there's only 17 to put out. So that's how it becomes that 17 value. Even then, until now, if you go to the United Nations, there are still some people saying that we need to put something else in there. So, but frankly, to tell you, if we work on the 17, if we work on the 17, it is already good enough for us to overcome all the problem in this world. And the most important thing is that we are talking in one single voice, the same. The Muslim, the non-Muslim are talking the same thing. If you look, actually, somebody has wrote and make a study on the 17, and they put up all the verses of the Quran and Hadith, and it was already there. But unfortunately, I don't have it here. So, but then it indicates that what been put up is acceptable by the human needs. So let's work on it. For me, I'm frankly, I hope that we can all work on it and then try to solve this, especially the Muslim countries like Sudan, like
Yes,
Somalia,
yes.
like other countries that I think they need to get improvement of their development. Right now, their development miss a lot of the 17.
Okay,
Yes, I
thank you,
agree.
Prof. Kamarul. Maybe Dr. Jamil want to add? Can you stop sharing? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Tuan Haji Sakyah that there's one missing point there out of 5 aspect of Maqasid Sharia. I think they covered 4 aspects from for SDG, which cover the physical, intellectual, emotional, and so on. But the spiritual aspect, the religious aspect, is not covered. I'm not sure, Professor Kamarul, whether we, the Muslim countries, do we need to follow exactly like IUM? When they look at the education IUM, do we put in the Islamic aspect in our education, which is not the main focus for the SDGs in laid down by United Nations. So the religious aspect we can add on to this for the Muslim countries. That's my suggestion. I agree with Tuan Haji Sakyah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jamil. I think Semrati from Cambodia, you want to ask question. Unmute your, yes, Tafadhal, Semrati.
Yes, shukran jazilan. Thank you very much for Prof. Fauzan. And the first, for the beginning, I would like to thank so much for Prof. Dr. Jamil and Prof. Our speaker, our speaker, and other participants, brother and sister. I have so one question about about this topic also. But the first, for the coming soon of the Ramadan, maybe tonight, may Allah bless for Prof. Dr. Jabil and Prof. Second speaker and brother and sister in as the participant in this meeting with the best of health and success in the Ramadan. So my question I want to ask both all of brother about the in Cambodia for the sustainable development in Cambodia. Depend refer I have listened this topic. The sharing is very important. Relate with the new generation or the development for the Cambodia. It is good in Cambodia for the development, especially for the Muslim community development. If we change from the supporting the Muslim people from charity to the skill training or livelihood project. This is my question, brother.
Thank you.
Yes,
Who will go? Dr. Jamil or Prof. Kamaru want to answer first? Maybe
Yes,
Kamaru, okay. Go ahead. Prof. Kamaru?
I'm not so sure. I don't understand actually what you're trying to
Okay,
say.
his question is how to use SDG to help Muslim Cambodia from charity to own the independent, like have own skills and knowledge to become like independent like other countries in the world.
Yeah, brother. I want to add more because in around more than 20 years, Muslim community in Cambodia we have received funds or support from brother and sister from Arab country or Malaysian people, Malayu people or Singaporean. They help us a lot, but the most of the funds is relates regarding with the charity, not a focus on livelihood project or training project. If a livelihood charity, they can use the money or use the food packets, mean that when there is, so after they don't have something to eat more. So it is the question I want to add more.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm clear now. The thing is, it has to be coming from the country. It's much easier. But if there is a group, an Islamic group, they would like to see SDG to be implemented, I see there shouldn't be any problem. Because like I've shown just now, it all depends on who wants to work on it. A country will be much easier, but those who are in a group can also do it the same way. As you look at the 17 different areas, there is also a recommendation of what you need to do first. And in my other presentation, I've shown the step, but the number one that you need to work on, if you're really, I'm giving you now a quick tutorial, a quick solution. You need to concentrate on your resources. It mentioned there, the land and the water. So concentrate on those two and work on them and ensure that the country or the people who wants to work on it understand the importance of these two different resources. But there is a lot of other resources that you need to work. Once you can identify what are the resources you require, because this will relate to your GDP later, if you want to talk about money. But then, if you work on this, you find that everything else will fall into it properly, especially if you don't have any problem with regard to loss of resources, quote unquote, and so forth. So the thing is, you have to start with your resources. And then from the resources, then only you talk about others, like for example, infrastructure. You talk about education. Education usually is located at number 3. I know, I realize that I'm now talking with many educators here, and everybody will be very angry with me. But then, if you don't control your resources, you cannot educate the people properly. You cannot supply the internet. You cannot supply the teacher with salary. You cannot, a long list of cannot. So, but then again, Prof. Fauzan has to call me back again to give another discourse on how to manage the SDG for a country, for a different place. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Jamil, want to add?
The experience of COVID-19 again, I think we began to realize that how important agriculture industry is. So agriculture industry is important because those are the agriculture product produced by the people, by the rural people. And these are the poor people. We never appreciate what they are doing. So when we live in the city, when there will be a shortage of rice in the city, where are we going to get the rice? When we are shortage of vegetables, when we are shortage of fish, and so on. And people don't rear animals in the city. People don't plant vegetables in the city. People don't plant rice in the city. Especially in Cambodia, the poor Muslim outside the city, they are all doing work with agriculture. That's why I think that government should concentrate more on agriculture in order to reduce the poverty among the people. And that's where the e-technology coming in. How they market the product. The e-marketing, e-commerce is now very important. The people don't have to come to the city to sell their products. They can market it through the through electronic for the people in the city, and people will come and direct to them. They know who is selling the product. But right now, we don't have the what do you call it, the information. So my feeling, this is very important. Our experience in the COVID-19 will tell us if the COVID-19 lockdown is going to another 4 weeks, we might be having shortage of rice, shortage of vegetables, shortage of everything. So that's where we appreciate what agriculture is. Thank you.
Thank you. Food security. Normally, we take for granted that food is just it's not really important to compare as technology, but there are terms called food security, when you have to import the food, and now it's COVID-19. Yeah, you have suffered. Now today's even people have long queue in Giant to get food for Ramadan. So it's very important indeed. Yeah, any more question? We're going to stop to Ustaz Farid from Cambodia too. Now it's Cambodia's monopoly. Okay, go ahead. Ustaz Farid, boleh cakap Melayu ke Arab pun boleh.
According Cambodian country, about the technology different in Malaysia and other countries. Because now, like Dr. Jamil said, Cambodia, the poor country, especially the countryside, now have technology. And now the government of Cambodia try to make the teaching by the new TV. He said that digital TV. Ministry of Education established 2 channels for teaching by TV for the countryside, province. Because here very difficult to find online internet every kampung. Now, how to weigh out this problem? I want to ask Prof. Kamarul Aziz.
Azizi.
Kamarul Aziz, because we are living in Cambodia, situation we like Rati said, all support from all the world, from Malaysia. I think from Malaysia 90% they come to help the Muslim community, alhamdulillah. But a lot of maybe 70% through the charity.
Yes.
Maybe 20% by build a school, or build a school, and alhamdulillah last year we have so many program develop our community from Triple IT, teaching training about how to develop young entrepreneurs. Now we come with alhamdulillah. Now we have so many young entrepreneurs start develop the business, alhamdulillah. So what important is today, so how to develop our community in Cambodia? We have the minority countries. We have around 700,000 Muslim. Population is 16 million population. So how?
Okay.
I want to ask Dr. Jamil, when COVID-19 become very problem in Cambodia and Malaysia. So in Malaysia, they have the rich country. They have the develop everything, study through the internet, everything. But in Phnom Penh, some family don't have the knowledge, no ilmu. If family have ilmu, knowledge, they can teach the children. Now they are loose. If the school, every school stop, now almost 2 months no school. Family, for family, don't have the knowledge how they can teach the children when they stay home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ustaz Farid. I think I'll pass to Prof. Kamaru first, then Dr. Jamil.
Thank you, Ustaz Farid. One thing that I've mentioned earlier, the first thing that we need to look is resources.
Yes.
And I don't know whether it is lucky or not. One of the country that I first exercised to use SDG is Cambodia.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I studied again, it is a desktop study. We call it a desktop study. I studied Cambodia, and I found that Cambodia is very rich.
MashaAllah.
It is not a poor country at all.
Ah,
but
good news.
I'm sorry to say this. Is it okay to say?
You look at Phnom Penh.
No. Okay. Is it all right to say it openly now?
Yeah, go ahead. His brother,
yes.
his family. Yeah.
It's his family. Okay. So when I studied Cambodia, they have a lot of oil, but the oil was not extracted from the ground.
Yeah.
And they also have a lot. You have a lot of what we call as heavy metal. Heavy metal are being used in nanotechnology and also all the microelectronics. Again, it is in the ground.
Yeah.
So if just now somebody asked me about Mr. Sam asked about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, you have to find out about the resources. Even though I'm from outside, I know about this. So if you really want, we can make Cambodia richer than Malaysia.
Okay.
Frankly, to tell you, we already
Sure.
compared the data.
Yes. Yeah.
You have much more than Malaysia.
Okay.
Malaysia is less. Wallah.
Prof. Kamarul, Ustaz Faris doing PhD at USM. You can become his supervisor. How to become Cambodia rich through SDG. I can become co-supervisor. Dato' Jamil, yours next.
I agree with Prof. Azizi because if I've been to Cambodia 30 years ago in 1990. So if you compare the life in Cambodia 1990 and now, I think very far different. Safari, we not realized that the poverty level was very low at that time. But with all resources, as has been mentioned by Prof. Azizi, they have a lot of underutilized land in the, especially among the Muslim brothers there. They don't properly utilize the land and so on. Even the sea and the river, have not been fully utilized. So if this thing being taught to them under SME and so on, inshallah they will become better people. For the technology, as what has been mentioned, Ustaz Farid, I think the people can learn very fast. I didn't know what Zoom is before. When Professor Paula mentioned Zoom, I thought
it's not Zoom.
With the
people with all the we got cages. It's Zoom.
With a few steps, he taught us online and asking the children. I think now I'm able to use Zoom. So I think the children has no problem with the technology. Provide to them with the equipment, inshallah, they will do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to have like 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I think 9 minutes. I have Sister Zarina from Hong Kong. Do you have any questions, Sister Zarina? Or Yasmin? No, he's free. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Zuhair. Yeah, go ahead. You're from where? From Zuhair?
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Fauzan. How are you?
Fine. You are in Malaysia or somewhere else?
No. I have met you in Malaysia. I frequently visit Malaysia. I'm based in Bahrain.
Oh, mashallah. You're from Bahrain. Yes. Mashallah.
I'm an admirer of IIIT for years.
Thank you.
Starting from Dr. Ismail Farooqi's work.
Mashallah.
I'm seeing a different, different development in the organization now. Those days you are very academic, writing books and all those things. I'm very impressed today to have joined this SDG session. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, I joined one of your workshops in Hong Kong. That is community development. Mashallah, you have done a lot of work, lot of research. Mm-hmm. What I feel is that I'm actually from Sri Lanka.
Oh, yeah. So, we met.
Yeah, Sri Lanka actually needs this kind of work. There are a lot of people doing lots of work, but I feel still that we are much below. We have about 60% of the Muslims below poverty level, and we have very good, rich Muslims too. I think what would need from you is from IIIT that we need your expertise. We have educated youth there. We have organizations. But what we lack is kind of guidance.
I see.
Yeah, so I think even I have traveled to some of the other countries in the region, of course Cambodia also, and Philippines. What we require, Doctor, is that we need some work to be done in the community level to guide the leaders or find the right leadership for the community.
Yeah.
For instance, okay, we have imams in the mosque. They are well placed. They have a base, they have a community, but how much leadership qualities they have to get the community? So we should have this imam as the leader of the community, for instance. So in this respect, I wonder how we could cooperate and find ways to synergize and work. Whatever findings we have in different parts of the world, experience looking at societies, communities, and their resources and the gaps and things like that. So my request is, first thing, if you can, have a chapter of IIIT in Sri Lanka. Now I'm like 59 years old now.
Still young.
I'm thinking of retiring, so maybe by next year I may shift in between Bahrain and Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I used to travel to Far East a lot. Every 3 months I go and spend about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I have this access to me. I will be of help to the organization, and it will be mutually beneficial. So my point is that how we are going to, what is our strategy to bring this knowledge and the know-how to the community level in different countries?
Thank you, Brother Zuhair. I think we met in Kuala Lumpur when we have Pakistan's program. Yeah.
In the hotel.
Yes, and I guess Dr. Jamil can add answer to this. To my opinion, that we have this tripartite that we are doing now from East and Southeast Asia, but we also broadcast to other parts of the world. This one of dissemination knowledge. Like last night we have with Prof. Anis Ahmad, where Prof. Salisu from Nigeria joining us. And in not mistaken, Bangladesh have one branch, India they do have, the same thing with Pakistan. I'm not sure about Sri Lanka. Maybe Dr. Jamil can answer that. What about Dr. Jamil?
Thank you, Professor Fauzan. Tripartite has a regional representative. So unfortunately, Sri Lanka doesn't come into our region. So we are on East and Southeast Asia. It comes under India, if I'm not wrong. So most activities, or even the financial aspect from the headquarters, we go through India and go through Sri Lanka. So with the current situations now, we can do a lot of sharing through Zoom. For our conference here, we can even have a special conference or seminar between the Sri Lankan brothers, and where the speakers can come from all over. I think the issue is settled on that. And we have been meeting many times, the brothers from Sri Lanka, including Brother Zohair, and we have met many times in Kuala Lumpur. So I know you have been traveling everywhere to Hong Kong, Cambodia, real businessman. Inshallah, with your connection, Brother Zohair, we can do more activities. And you inform Brother Fauzan, maybe we can have some program with people in Sri Lanka, inshallah.
With this kind of Zooming or teleconferencing, you are most welcome. We will put in our tripartite friends, and like next week, Brother Shahran, we're going to have this Prahani Samad again, but this time 2:30 Malaysian time. Last night on 8 o'clock. Yeah. Okay, I think Brother Shahab want to ask question. Shahab, this you post in the chat room.
Yeah, one thing I miss is the role of zakat and the protection tax, which was always being the main contribution to eradicate poverty in the Muslim lands during the early Muslim era. How can we incorporate this in the SDG?
To Prof. Kamar Azizi, maybe.
Yes.
Again, like I said just now, we try to put this as part of the indicators, because we can put an indicator, some sort like how many % of the zakat contribution in your country. So if you look at the indicators for different of the 17 areas, I suggest if one day we can all Muslims sit down together and put all the Islamic indicators in there. And again, we were rejected again because there are not many people in the meeting. I think there's only 6 us Muslim, and the rest 200 people are from non-Muslim. So when we're going to put this indicator, they say, one only from 6 countries? Very hard. So I suggest, if possible, since UIA is and Triple IT can also work with us, and then we can identify the indicators that, like I've suggested, is being added every day. When I put that value is based on today. So tomorrow it might change. So we can put all these indicators for the Muslim so that at least it will help us. Thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you very much. And now we have reached 3:59, almost 4 o'clock. Alhamdulillah, we are here almost 2 hours. And good discussion. And inshallah, next week we're going to meet again, 2:30 on Thursday. And it's Ramadan. And Brother Sharan is confirmed, is Prof. Malik Badri and Prof. Rahmatullah Khan. Is it, Brother Sharan? Can you?
We will update.
We will update, but it will be 2:30 Thursday. Same time, we will invite all of us in the our same group. And thank you very much. And from on behalf of Tripartite, I wish Alan Ramadan Mubarak. Inshallah, we will utilize this Ramadan the best we can, and hopefully Allah will accept our ibadah. And this is our passion. And of course, this Ramadan is blessing month and month of Tarbiyyah. And one thing about this COVID-19 actually is strengthening our spiritual element too. So Ramadan and this COVID-19 come together is not to weaken us but to strengthen us. So by then, now it's 4 o'clock, 4:01 actually, we close with tasbih kafarah and surah al-asr. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wal asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihati wa tawasaw bil haqq.